Hey, it's Soul, here to cover more of World of Warcraft Dragonflight, the alpha. We're diving back into professions, and last time I went over what it took in order to create epic gear. Today though, we're going to focus on alchemy and explore how specializations are going to change things up, maybe make them more interesting with hopefully a lot of profit to be made. If you don't mind, hit the like button, subscribe for more Dragonflight coverage, and first off, a warning. This is the alpha. Everything's going to change, meaning that this isn't a guide in the slightest, but this is more like us trying to understand the concepts of alchemy together. That way, we've sort of built an aptitude that will make learning the final system all that much easier. Let's start with learning the basics in Dragonflight Alchemy. Like all versions of alchemy, we have humble beginnings with this healing potion. Note that it comes in stacks of 5 per cast. It takes some elemental materials, 20 herb, and 5 vials. Now, look over at the crafting details right over there. This is something you're going to get used to throughout all your crafting for, I don't know, maybe forever. The recipe difficulty has a value of 100, while your crafting skill currently is at 1. Part of the game here is to make your crafting skill as close to the difficulty as possible. That's going to let you craft the highest quality version of this item. But also keep in mind that there is no such thing as failure in this crafting revamp. You can make basic potions just fine. So in some cases, it's not nearly as important to get this crafting skill up, and you'll learn why as we go along. Crafting skill is determined by a number of factors, starting with the level itself, and that's your profession level, which you should be quite familiar with. It's also determined by equipment, which I would show here if I was able to use any, specializations, which we haven't unlocked yet, and materials. Many materials also have their own quality levels. At minimum quality, materials don't provide any bonus. At higher quality though, materials provide a bonus to crafting skill. So here with the best quality reagents available, our crafting skill for this potion is at a whopping 26. The bar here notes how close or far you are to crafting items at a higher quality, and in this case, your chance of making higher quality potions just kind of went up by a little bit. Inspiration is what you would consider as critical strike for crafting. Based on the tooltip, you have a 5% chance to craft these potions with a significant bonus, which would pretty much guarantee a rank 2 potion if inspiration procced, and a tiny chance of it becoming a rank 3, which is the highest level quality. Now here's an early tip given what we know already. When leveling alchemy, it doesn't seem to matter if you use low or high quality materials. So if you're leveling, I suggest only using low quality materials, and save the better stuff for when you intend to make the best items you can. So let's start crafting. You can see the results over on the right as you're crafting. We're using high quality materials here, but are only making low quality potions, so yeah, your best bet is to use low quality materials when you're leveling. Knowing this, I have a feeling that jumping into alchemy later in the game isn't going to be all that bad. I'd argue that in the long run, the demand for higher materials will be greater than lower materials, so those should be cheaply available a few months into the expansion. Now that takes care of the very basics of crafting, leveling, and quality. There are recipe learning abilities that have a sort of daily cooldown, and towards the end you'll mostly be researching to up your skill points. At the moment, with a crafting skill of 25, you can start unlocking specializations. This part is going to be super critical to the development of your skills and will be what separates the hobby crafter from the mass producer or the high-end specialist. However, since this is the alpha, we're missing a lot of context. Like we don't have any idea how quickly we can amass these alchemy spec points used to level our skill. And we'll need hundreds of points before we finally fill out all the specialization trees. Early on, specializing in one of these major trees will lock you out of the others until your overall skill reaches level 50 and then level 100. It makes sense, but it makes your initial choice of specialization all the more important. There are 3 major masteries for alchemy. There's potions, which should sound familiar, and there's phials, which are flasks, but renamed because I guess the WoW team felt like it. There's also this other tab called Alchemical Theory, which supplements your specializations, but also lets you develop a mastery over other alchemy crafts like transmutation and creating reagents. From here, there are decisions to make. For example, do you want to specialize in making potions, phials, or other items like transmutes? Do you want to focus on inspiration so you have the best chance at making the highest quality items, or multi-craft so you can mass produce? The most dedicated, long-term crafters will eventually specialize in everything, but early in the expansion, and for budding crafters altogether, there are going to be decisions to make. With materials and consumables going on a regional auction house, demand is going to be a little bit unpredictable. There is no single right answer, but I'm going to share my ideas. I play WoW as a raid leader, so I have a number of alchemists I can count on to optimize production. And I'm going to have one of them, preferably one who shows up regularly, focused on unlocking this, the Potion Cauldron of Power. It produces fleeting elemental potions of power. It's basically an all-in-one cooldown potion that raises your primary stats regardless of what class or spec that you are. This has 100 uses and provides 5 potions per. Up to 20 can be held at a time, meaning a single cauldron can fully supply 25 people. Something very important to point out though, the cauldron is account bound, so this is going to make no profit. However, it's going to be a huge gold saver for raid teams like mine. To make this, we need to specialize in potion mastery and plug 10 points into the base node here. Putting 10 points here is going to unlock perks, shown here on the side. That's going to give a bonus to inspiration when crafting potions, and it'll let me unlock a subspec. As you can see, I'm making my way to the right so I can learn potion lore. 10 potions into that will get me into batch production, and then 10 more will unlock the cauldron recipe. So let's take a look at the recipe. It requires 100 elemental potions of power, which is kind of a lot, and a primal convergent, which looks to be a difficult to make reagent. Preferably, I'm going to want to make this cauldron as efficiently as possible, so it's in my interest to make as many potions and convergents as I can at as high of a quality as I can, as cheaply as possible, which at the start, of course, is going to be totally impossible. Personally, I'm going to focus on quantity over quality. I'd rather sustain my team and let them free use potions than to make them hold back. So I'll be interested in having an additional alchemist who specializes in crafting these reagents. That way they can mass produce what we need, funnel that to the person who can mass produce the potions, and then someone who can create the cauldron. Eventually, we'll be able to consistently produce a high quality cauldron, which I'm sure everyone on the team is going to appreciate each night, but I'll settle for having a few procs of the cauldron, which would save us tons of resources and would have us set for numerous raid nights. If we were to rethink this though, and take a more solo approach, like let's say we just wanted to make as many potions as we could to sell on the market, then we would instead pump more points into batch production to get more multi-craft chance and to produce more potions per multi-craft. What makes this route profitable, in my opinion, is that we can then focus on just making a whole bunch of lower quality potions because that doesn't have any effect on your multi-craft. Actually, it's just better to use low quality materials because we'd be saving that much gold. And as we skill up and more high quality materials are made available, I'm able to multi-craft those as well. As we become more proficient in our specializations, we'll become more and more self-sufficient. We'll be able to make the best quality healing potion with low quality materials, which you should be using because otherwise we'd be wasting gold. But if we wanted to bank off top players early in the expansion, we'd instead take the inspiration route. Crafting skill is going to be hard to come by early on, and inspiration makes up for this. If guilds like Echo or Limit saw a rank 3 potion and it cost like 1,000 more gold than a rank 2 potion, well, chances are they're not going to think twice about picking up every rank 3 potion on the regional auction house. So racing to make a few of those will probably yield huge returns. Specializations for alchemy are deep, with opportunities for players to excel at each of the stages of production, and when producing this overview, I started to get really excited over planning this all out with my guild. There's a lot more to all of this, but I figure that this is enough until the professions are more polished and complete, and then we can start strategizing the best specialization routes to take, maybe math out the ideal stats to invest into so we can maximize mass production. But that's going to be all for now, and I hope you're able to follow along. If you don't mind, like the video, subscribe for more Dragonflight content because there is plenty more coming, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.